Welcome to the ISA education module on what to look for on a certificate of analysis for fetal bovine serum. My name is Lisa Orff, and I am the team lead for the Standardization Committee. In 2022, the ISA Standardization Committee finalized and the Board of Directors published a C of A guidance document that puts forth guidance on the minimum information that should be reported on a C of A. It further provided recommendations on the minimum testing to perform, which methodologies to use, and how to report the results, specifically which units of measure to utilize. The document itself, by being guidance and not policy, is considered applicable to all FBS producers, not just members of the ISIA. For further review of this document, the location of this document is on the ISIA website under the standardization subheading. Simply click the certificate of analysis link as shown here. For today's education module, we will cover what the ISA recommends as the minimum contents on a C of A, what C of As could contain, and finally, what C of As should not contain. In most cases, I will try and present examples, and in all cases, the numbers in this presentation directly correlate back to the guidance document on the ISIA website that I just mentioned. So, what should a C of A contain? At a minimum, for general information, the C of A should show the product or catalog number, the expiration date of the product, the filtration size, the date of manufacture, and the lot size. Why do these items matter? The date of manufacture and the expiration date are directly linked. In most cases, manufacturers give FBS a shelf life of 5 years when stored at less than or equal to -10 degrees Celsius. Knowing the manufacturer's date will allow you to evaluate the given shelf life of the product. The filtration size for fetal bovine serum is typically 0.1 micron, usually in triplicate and usually in line during processing. This gives the end user an assurance that potentially contaminating microbes like bacteria, fungi, and mycoplasma have been removed during processing of the serum. Finally, knowing the total volume processed can be important for a couple of reasons. One, you, the end user or purchaser, are aware of the quantity that may be available for purchase. And two, having the total volume processed reported on a C of A can aid in reducing counterfeiting of fetal bovine serum. Continuing with what should be reported on a C of A includes country of manufacturing or processing, country of collection, and country of origin. The country of collection is the country where the blood was collected. The country of manufacturing or processing is the country where filtration, bottling, and labeling took place. These processes are considered substantial transformation of the product. The country of origin reporting is for regulatory requirements. In our example, the manufacturer identified origin as the United States and further specified that the product was collected and processed in the USA. A second example is an FBS that had the raw material, the blood, collected in Panama, but the manufacturing was performed in the United States. In the event blood is harvested from multiple countries and pooled, all countries should be reported on the C of A. So now we know we're looking at a C of A for FBS. We know what our product number is, where it was collected and processed, how it was filtered, when it was manufactured, what the expiration date is, and how much is potentially available for purchase. The next section of the C of A generally includes batch testing data. At a minimum, the ISA recommends the following tests, which we'll cover over a couple of slides, and the indicated units of measure. Number 1, pH. This indicates the acidity or alkalinity of the fetal bovine serum. Osmolality, which is a measure of the concentration of solutes in the serum and is reported as milliosmoles per kilogram of water. The total protein in the FBS, which should be reported in grams per deciliter. the endotoxin levels, which is a pyrogen and a component of the exterior cell wall of gram-negative bacteria and is reported as endotoxin units per mil. And hemoglobin, which is a measure of the lysed red blood cells and can, but does not always, reflect the handling of the blood during collection and processing. Hemoglobin is reported as milligrams per deciliter. There should also be a report of sterility testing and the outcome of that test, and it will provide assurance that bacteria and fungi have been removed during manufacturing, and mycoplasma testing and the results from that. ISIA further recommends that the methods utilized for all testing are reported, as is the case in this C of A example. Not knowing the methods makes it near impossible to evaluate two different batches of FBS between suppliers. One final comment on this slide before we move on. ISIA does not recommend test outcomes, results, or reference ranges. These are and should be dictated by regulatory requirements, user specifications, and or manufacturers' internal quality metrics for lot release. If you're curious about what regulatory requirements might be for fetal bovine serum, for example, you can reference United States Pharmacopeal Monograph number 90, which dictates the quality requirements for fetal bovine serum utilized in further manufacturing of a drug product in the United States. Moving on to further testing that is recommended by the ISIA, batch testing including virus testing, specifically for the detection of cytopathic agents and heme-adsorbing agents, and the detection of bovine viral diarrhea virus, both cytopathic and non-cytopathic forms. In the case of BVDV, ISIA strongly encourages manufacturers and testing facilities to utilize bovine turbinate cells due to their highly permissive nature, although it is recognized that other cell lines may be as permissive. It would be ideal if producers would report the cell line utilized for their BVDV detection so that end users were able to accurately evaluate the outcome of the testing, as well as create clarity when comparing fetal bovine serum lots between manufacturers. Finally, IgG and GGT are recommended to round out the batch testing. IgG is a measurement of the quantity of IgG antibodies in the serum, should be reported in microgram per milliliter, and should be low. GGT, or gamma glutamyl transferase, is a liver enzyme, is reported as units per liter, and is very low in fetal serum. These two metrics help to qualify the serum under evaluation as fetal. At this point, we've now reached the footer section of our C of A, which basically should contain the company address, contact information, and a quality or authorized signature. Continuing with our example, I've blacked out the vast majority of what was on the C of A, but I can guarantee that all the relevant or recommended information was present prior to me taking a marker to it. So, what else could a C of A contain? There is a lot of additional information that a producer can choose to put on their C of A. This can be anything from country of additional treatments of the serum, such as heat inactivation or gamma radiation, to performance testing and serum origin confirmation testing, to additional batch testing data, or even a statement regarding the facility where the serum was processed being compliant with current good manufacturing practices. So let's take a look at some examples of performance testing and serum origin confirmation testing. In the below examples, performance testing can be presented as simply growth promotion with a tested statement, or it can be presented as cell lines and a % viability. Origin is confirmed by the company Oratane. In our example, the company chose to have the origin confirmed and reported it in 2 locations on their C of A. In addition, it can also be accompanied by the Oratane seal. Other batch testing data that could be included can be quite varied and can range from bacteriophage testing to full chem panels to detection of antibiotics in the serum. Many of the additional testing will be based on end user specifications or manufacturer's internal quality release metrics based on their product codes. Finally, this is a good example of how a producer has appropriately identified their facility as CGMP compliant without specifying the serum as CGMP. Animal serum is not a product that is registered with nor regulated by the FDA. So, last but definitely not least, these few items should not appear on a C of A and should give you pause if you see them. A claim that the serum is USDA, EU, or FDA approved. None of these regulatory agencies approve serum nor regulate serum. USDA and EU will safety test for import or transport, but they do not give tacit approval of a final product. Any marketing statements. C of A's should be about the lot being evaluated and should report data, should not be utilized as a marketing tool. Countries grouped as a region. If blood is pooled from multiple countries, then all countries should be reported. A couple examples of grouping countries together into a region are presented below. This concludes our presentation on what to look for on a C of A for fetal bovine serum. We'll now move into the question and answer portion of this education module. I look forward to trying to answer all your questions. Thank you very much for joining us.
So do we have any questions? Or there's so much information that was baffling. Well, if there are no questions, this will be available on the website as usual. And you will be able to find it and all of the other modules that we have produced so far. And we look forward to seeing you at the next one. Thank you.